Hello everyone, back into our third Winter 2020-21 update part 1. So winter updates commenced a couple of weeks ago. This is the third winter update, but this year we're splitting winter updates up into two parts. So part 1, what I'm going to do now, will be focusing on things like sea surface temperature anomalies, what's happening with the ENSO, solar activity, Eurasian snow cover when we get to it later on in the season, I suppose, Arctic size extent, Atlantic hurricane activity, the Cubia, all of that kind of thing will be included in part 1, and then part 2 is going to be for the analogues. You'll see part 2 of the third winter 2020-21 update tomorrow, release same time, same place on Monday morning, and that will be an outside of the box special this week. More about that at the end of this video. So just say, as always, with the long-range stuff, it's going to be a long video, so if you can't watch it all going, don't worry, it will be kept at the website, GavsWeatherVids.com, indefinitely. There'll be a written version that goes as well, and I should try to get that up onto the Winter Updates page for you this evening. If not this evening, it'll definitely be tomorrow morning. So if you have to watch the video on demand at GavsWeatherVids and also on the GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel, have a read of the written version as well. We are going to have the ECD Adventure Answers DWV long range update coming up later on this afternoon, probably around 2-3 o'clock, I would have thought, something like that. And then at 6 o'clock this evening, going to be live stream. Going to have a live stream. We'll all check in, see how we're all doing. And that will include winter data as well. I think probably look at 7v2 with that one for the winter 2020-21. So it's going to be a very exciting, very interesting day at GavsWeatherVids Day. And no doubt we'll be discussing this third winter update part 1 as well. I would have thought I'll be taking lots of questions for the first 30 to 40 minutes with the live stream this evening. No, I did say that I'd give you the date that we're going to release the GavsWeatherVids Winter 2020-21 forecast today. So, of course, all of these updates are building up a picture week by week. You know, they're building up the evidence, building up the picture to create the forecast. And we always release the GavsWeatherVids Winter forecast at the beginning of December. I can tell you, I've been sort of toying around with when we're going to do this. I can tell you that the date when we're going to release the GavsWeatherVids.com Winter 2020-21 forecast is going to be Wednesday the 2nd of December. Wednesday the 2nd of December will be the day that we release the GavsWeatherVids.com Winter 2020-21 forecast, probably in the evening as a premiere, I would have thought. But I'll have to sort of decide all of that later on, which will mean that on that particular Wednesday, there will probably not be a live stream. We will probably do the live stream the next day on the Thursday, or we just may not do a live stream through that middle part of the week. We'll see. We'll sort of iron all that out when we get closer to the time frame. But definitely the winter forecast for winter 2020-21 will be released on Wednesday the 2nd of December. It'll be a very, very interesting and very auspicious day, I would have thought. Right, so that's brought you up to date with all of the developments with that. Let's get on then. So just say thank you so much to Richard, by the way, Richard Traut, for the gift, and also there's more data coming up through this update from Richard. I'll shout out Richard when we get to what Richard's done. Also to James Atquill, also to Shryan Bruin. So yeah, just big thank you to all of the people who helped me out with these winter updates. Thank you so much to all of you. You all know who you are, and thank you so much to each and every one of you for the help that you have given on this third winter 2020-21 update. I think that's everything I'm going to tell you, so let's go on. We're actually going to begin this one with our Swingometer. So yes, we are this is like third update that we're doing, so with 2 updates in up to this point, we are now able to bring you the first glimpse of the GavsWeatherVids.com Winter 2020-21 Swingometer. King of Swing, Richard Traut, has been compiling the data from the past 2 updates. Remember, the data from this update is not included in this. We will include the data from this update like next week, and that's how we'll go along with this till we get to the last update anyway. So this is this after 2 updates. This is how we're currently looking with our Swingometer. So looking very, very balanced, actually. Barely any anything between like a cold and average winter being favoured, an average or neutral winter being favoured, and a milder than average winter being favoured. Overall, 51% milder than average currently from the first two winter updates, but there's barely anything in it, really, barely anything in it. And so at the moment, things are very, very balanced, very finely poised between either a colder than average winter, an average winter, or also a milder than average winter. Milder average does just have, you know, ever such a slightly 51%, but basically there is nothing to choose between the three options after two updates. So you'll find out at the beginning of next week's update, you'll find out, you know, what difference, if any, this third winter updates part 1 and 2 has made to our swingometer. But there we go, King of Swing, Richard Traut is in business now with the swingometer. You're going to see this, you know, you'll see this every week now, right way through to the end of the updates. Thank you so much to Richard for sending through the swingometer this week, and as I say, more next week. Right, okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of Pap Matching to start us off with. So I've been attempting to do a bit of Pap Matching for both August 2020's overall Northern Hemispheric pattern, and also the summer of 2020 with the overall hemispheric pattern. This is the August pattern. It has an area of below average heights to our west, an area of above average heights to our northeast. So the jet stream is sort of down here somewhere. Winds are kind of coming in from more of a southeasty to easy direction. It's a very strange anomaly, and I've gone through each and every August in terms of the 500 millibar height anomaly for the Northern Hemisphere. Gone through each and every single one all the way back to 1836. I cannot find a year that I would be comfortable including in this. So as far as I can see, there is no sort of match in terms of the Northern Hemispheric pattern to August 2020. August 1997 probably comes out closest, but I wasn't particularly happy with that one either. So no matches for August 2020. This is the summer 2020 500 millibar height anomaly. So again, we have this ridge to our northeast. We have higher pressure out in the Atlantic. We have a small trough of low pressure over the country and some northern blocking up here. Again, it's a very strange anomaly, almost like a washout summer, really. But because the trough is relatively weak, then it was a washout. But it wouldn't have took much of a change to get us to a washout summer, actually. So these are the years I've been again. None of these are a particularly good match. These are the years I've been able to get, but I think are closest. So we've got 2011. This is the summer of 2011 with higher pressure to our northeast and to our north of the trough over country. The problem with this one really is that the trough is deeper over UK and Ireland than it was in the summer of 2020. Again, I'm not particularly happy with it, but there are some similarities, I think, if we compare the two. There's some similarities there. Also, and then there's such a long gap then through to 1852. The next time I can find anything that I would sort of say is sort of halfway decent is the summer of 1852. Again, the problem with this is that the trough is so much deeper over the UK and Ireland, which we have not got this time. But it does have the above average heights to our northeast, and to some degree within the north latitudes and over towards Canada as well. Again, you'll never get a like-for-like match with this kind of thing, but I think there are some similarities between summer 2020 and 1852. Then we have the summer of 1845. By the way, these pattern matches do not finish up in the final winter forecast. They are not included into the winter forecast, as it's purely subjective on my part and on the viewer's part, rather than being something that we can definitively quantify, such as saying that the CET did this, or ANSO is doing that, or the QBO is doing this. They are we can define those things. We can't define this, it's just purely for interest, really, interest purposes. So this is the summer of 1845, again, has a trough over UK. Again, the trough is deeper than the one we've had this year. High pressure is to our northeast and north, and also to some degree to our west as well. So again, there's a similarity, but it is by no means perfect. And then we have this summer of 1839 in terms of the pattern match. Again, we've got a smaller trough low pressure over the UK this time, so I think that's a little bit better. Above average heights to our northeast and to our north and to our northwest as well. Let's compare the two. I think out of all of it, that's probably the closest match. 1839, summer 1839 is probably the closest match. Again, it's not perfect, but I would say that's out of all of the years, that's probably the closest. Let me know in the comments which summers you think are the closest match to the summer of 2020. So just having a look at the data for the winters following those summers then, this is the first one, 2011, 2012, with an area of above average heights to our west, below average heights to our north and to our northeast, winds set on a northwest-southeast trajectory. It's a mainly dry and quite mild winter, but it is a very cold winter for eastern and southeastern Europe, bitterly cold in the Balkans. We do get one very cold spell in early February. The next winter is 1852-1853. This one with higher pressure to our north. We've got a deep trough low pressure over to south of the country. Winds are sort of in from an easterly direction with that one. So very unsettled and some cold potential in with that. Next one is 1846. So the tab there is wrong. It's 1845-1846 with low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic and a westerly wind as well. And then the final one, there aren't many of them, so it's a very strange anomaly both for August and also for the summer of 2020. The final winter is 1839-1840. This one has some northern blocking, but despite that, it doesn't look like it's a particularly cold winter actually. It looks like it's a very unsettled, probably quite mild and wet winter overall. Putting all of that together, this is how all Decembers combined are looking following the summer pattern matches. So Decembers tend to be mild with low pressure over to the north country, high pressure to the south, winds in from the west. A mild and wet December is favoured. January also looking quite mild with these years. So again, low pressure coming in from the North Atlantic, winds in from the northwest as well. So quite mild for December and also for January too. More interesting for February is how all February's combined are looking with higher pressure building up towards Greenland, Iceland, and a trough of low pressure setting up to our south. Winds come in from an east or northeasterly direction, so potentially cold and wintry favoured for those Februaries, and that goes on into the Marches as well. Below average heights both to our south and to our east, high pressure up towards Greenland. Winds tend to be coming in from a north to northeasterly direction. You would expect those Marches to favour colder conditions too, but there aren't many of them. You see, there aren't many of them. It's only like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So it's such a small, it's such a small grouping that we probably can't read too much into it anyway. And finally, all winters combined look like this. So probably favouring some colder weather, higher pressure up to the north, lower pressure to our east. Winds tend to be in from a northerly direction. Bear in mind the early winter period, December and probably January too, is mild, and then it gets colder for February. Quite interesting how that comes out. But again, it's such an unusual pattern, both in terms of the summer pattern and also the August pattern, that I would be loath, really, I'd be loath to draw too many conclusions about this. Right, that closes the door really on August and also on summer data. So from now on, I don't think we'll do any more about the summer or about the winter in terms of the analogues. I'm going to pause the video there, and you get yourself a cup of tea, stretch your legs a little bit. When we come back, we're going to start talking about things like solar activity, sea surface temperature anomalies, and all of that sort of thing. So I shall see you back here very, very shortly. I'll see you soon. Okay, we're back. And ready to resume the third winter 2020-21 update. If you've enjoyed the video so far, then please give us a like. Let us know in the comments what you think, and make sure you subscribe to the GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel. Right, we're ready to continue then. So let's carry on. And we're going to begin with solar activity. So this is how the solar disk is looking on our side of this today from solarham.net. We have a spotless solar disk. There are no visible sunspots again on the solar disk. It's been the case for around 4 weeks now. can you believe, no sunspot activity at all. So solar activity is at very low levels and is expected to remain at very low levels for at least the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Solar Activity Tracker, updated by good friend James Ackrill up to the 19th of September. So this is depicting, the orange line is depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. So you can see that back earlier on in the summer, we did have a little bit of activity. It has a low level of sunspot activity. But for around a month now, we haven't had any sunspot activity at all, which means the orange line is flatlining away on the floor of the chart. That also means that our trend lines, which are the thick green and thick red lines, have trended to the floor of the chart as well. So we are at a very, very low level of solar activity now. NASA announced a couple of days ago that we have begun solar cycle 25. We actually reached solar minimum for solar cycle 24 in December 2019. So we are now sort of 9 months into solar cycle number 25, but still at a very, very low level of solar activity as confirmed by the GavsWeatherVids Solar Activity Tracker. This sent through by a good friend Richard Traut. This is showing the current spotless stretch and also the spotless days by year as well. So far we've had 30 days, I say around a calendar month now, without sunspots. So 30 days, 30-day stretch without sunspots. That is 186% of this year, 70%, 186 days of this year, 70% of the year of 2020 so far without any sunspots, comparable to 2019 with 281 days without sunspots at 77% of the year. So this again tells us what I just said. NASA confirmed that 2019 was the solar minimum year. This is the first year of solar cycle number 25. Winter 2020-21 will be the first full winter of solar cycle number 25, and it is performing, this solar cycle in its early stages is performing very, very similar to the start of solar cycle 24. So again, the last solar minimum year was 2008, just here, when we had 268 days without sunspots, 73% of the year. But look at 2009, that's the first year of solar cycle 24, with 260 days without sunspots, 71% of the year. And even in 2010, with 51 days without sunspots, 14% of the year, it was below average for sunspots. A very slow lift up into solar cycle number 24, and the same thing seems to be happening for solar cycle 25. In fact, it could be, I think it probably is the case, that solar cycle 25 is actually a little bit weaker even in its first year than solar cycle number 24 was. We will confirm that when we get to the end of the year, I suppose, but it does appear that we're having a very slow, a very slow start to solar cycle number 25. In a future update, we're going to confirm what it could mean for our winter fate being like the first winter of the new solar cycle. We will do that through reanalysis in a future update. This is how things are looking in terms of Eurasian snow cover and Arctic sea ice extent. So we have built up a little bit of snow over in the extreme eastern portion of Siberia, and a little patch just there. Still basically snow-free across most of Russia and Eurasia. Remember, by the time you get through to the end of October into November, all of this will fill up with snow. And when we get into October, we will start doing like week-by-week comparisons and year-by-year comparisons to see how quickly the snow line is advancing. But at the moment, there's just very little actually to be seen, just a few patches here and there. But things should start to develop in the next week or two. Up here, this is where Arctic sea ice has melted. So where we've got the yellow area, that is Arctic sea ice. Where we've got the blue area, that's where the ice has melted. It's been another very, very big melt season. How big has it been? We can have a look at this. from Snow and Ice Data Center. So the blue line here is the Arctic size extent for 2020. We're down here. These, of course, are our long-term averages, so we are well under those. Let's fill in all other years back to 2012. So this is 2019. So you can see we have had a bigger melt season than 2019. By the way, we have decided to pull up now. So I think we have reached the minimum extent. Unless something strange happens, I think we have reached the minimum extent for this season, and I think the refreeze will begin. So after this week, we probably won't look at this again. We won't need to, because the refreeze will then or is now commencing. But that's how we compare this year to 2019. That's 2018, obviously way below 2018. That's going to be 2017, so we are way below 2017 as well. That is 2016, that pinky coloured line, so we are under that one as well. That is 2015, which you can't see all that well, but we're under 2015. 2014 is just there, that blue line just there, so we are way under that. 2013, let's see how we compare to that. Again, well under that. Does any year have a bigger Arctic size melt season than this year? Let's have a look. 2012, which is the record minimum, and there we go. So we did not reach 2012. That's the red dashed line. Let's take all of those other coloured lines away, as they aren't really relevant. So we also need to take that one as well. So put that one back. So you can see that we did not quite reach 2012, but we have had the second biggest melt season on record. I think record only goes back to 1979 for the satellite era. But yeah, second biggest melt season on record, not quite reaching the depths of melt season of 2012, but a really, really big melt season nonetheless. And this may eventually translate back to an increased risk of dormant blocking as we get into winter. We shall see. But the refreeze has now recommenced. I don't think we're going to drop anymore, and eventually this blue line will start to pick back up and start to lift back up. I don't think we will look at that again, but that's where we finished up for this melt season. This is from weatheriscool.com. This is depicting the strength of Zolowins and the forecast strength of Zolowins. Loads of coloured lines here. If you want to know what all of the coloured lines mean, then you're going to have to look at the first winter update, because I haven't got time to go through all of them for this update. The main lines that you need to know about is the main line is the black line. So that's like the trend line for this time of year. So this time of year, Zolowins should be strengthening at 10 HPA over the North Pole in the stratosphere as the polar vortex begins to ramp up, so the Zolowins begin to ramp up as well, and the Zolowins what drives, almost like the engine that drives the polar vortex. The blue line, or the green coloured lines I should say here, are from the GFS ensembles. So where we are right now with the Zolowin is around there, actually around average, but the GFS ensembles are forecasting in the next couple of weeks Zolowins are going to weaken a little bit under average. Dates are on the bottom, of course, so this is September here, this is October, this is November, and this is December as far as we can go with the forecast. Now, these blue lines are from the CFS V2, and you can see that as we go through the autumn and on into December, generally, the CFS V2 is forecasting Zolowins to be weaker than average, particularly so through November. A weakening of Zolowins looks like it's taking place at some point through November, which is quite unusual to say at that time of year. Zolowins should be strengthening. So, and then they do pick up a little bit into December, but still generally trending under the average. So at the moment, it looks like there's very little sign of a return to polar vortex of doom. But of course, it is very early days. It's very early days on that. But at the moment, it looks like the CFS is forecasting Zolowins to be relatively weak through the course of the autumn and on into the start of winter anyway for December, which is as far as we can go with this chart from weatheriscool.com. Bear in mind that's just a forecast, and the reality could turn out to be very, very different from that. If we do see a weakening of Zolowins, you expect that to be associated probably with an increased risk of dormant blocking. We may be seeing signs of the Arctic Oscillation beginning to go more towards its negative phase. Remember, the AO is just an index just reflecting the atmospheric state, not driving anything in its own terms, just tells what we're actually doing. The black line shows where we've been with the NEO, red lines at the end, where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the NEO to go, forecasting the AO go, I should say. So through September, the AO has generally been in positive territory. I'm going to keep the AO in positive territory for the next few days, but it looks like the AO is going to weaken into neutral to negative territory through the closing days of September and into early October. That could well be a sign of northern blocking beginning to arrive within the northern latitudes, which of course could be associated with the weakening of the zone winds. The NEO is also on the move. This is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state in the North Atlantic. So again, the black line shows where we've been with the NEO, generally positive going back to August. We're currently positive with the NEO as well, but a big drop in the NEO forecast for late September into early October. Both the indexes going negative. That could well be signs of a colder, wetter pattern as we come into the end of September and the beginning of October, and it could be the sign of a reduction of zonal winds as well. So that could tie in with what we're seeing there in terms of the zonal winds beginning to weaken. Okay, I'm going to pause the video there just for a couple of seconds. You go and stretch your legs. We've been talking for 25 minutes. We're going to return with the rest of the third Winter 2020-21 update part 1. But you go off and stretch your legs, and I'll see you back in around 2 seconds time, and we will continue then. See you soon. Okay, we're back, and we are ready to resume the final part of this third Winter 2020-21 update part 1. Just say that if you enjoyed the video so far, then please give us a like on the video. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you subscribe to the GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel. Right, so let's get on with it then. We're going to look at sea surface temperature anomaly data next. So we have got 4 areas of interest. This is how sea surface temperature anomalies were looking when we did last week's second update. We've got 4 areas of interest. We have got the ENSO region just here. We have got the Indian Ocean over there. We've got the Northern Pacific over here, and we've got the North Atlantic over there. That's how things were looking when we did last week's second update. This is how things are looking for this week's third update. Let's deal with the ENSO region. First of all, this area of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. So we've got the signal of La Nina. Let's compare last week to this week. Very little change, I think, within the ENSO region from last week to this week. It remains, the La Nina signal remains at its strongest in the eastern Equatorial Pacific, out through central and western parts of the Equatorial Pacific. The La Nina signal is weaker. So this is a moderate La Nina event in the eastern Equatorial Pacific, and a weak La Nina event through the central and western Equatorial Pacific Ocean. And there's been very little change on that over the past week. So yes, the weak La Nina signal does continue stronger in the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific. Over in the, let's go to North Pacific next. So up here. So again, this is how things looked in the North Pacific last week. This is how things look again this week. Very little change up there. It remains significantly warmer than average in that northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean. If you want a cold winter, I think you're looking to try and cool it down up there. There's no sign of it cooling down yet. Eventually, we're thinking that this La Nina will turn down the thermostat within the Pacific Ocean and push these colder temperature anomalies out into the wider Pacific Ocean, and eventually probably even into the wider Atlantic Ocean. But that's going to take a long time to happen. So at some point, we're thinking this area probably will cool down, but there is no sign of that yet. Remains significantly warmer than average in the northeastern Pacific, as it has done through many years since 2018. In the Indian Ocean, the negative IOD signal continues. It remains cooler over here and warmer over there. Again, comparing that to last week, very little change. That situation last week, that situation this week. So it's cooler here and it's warmer just there. That is a negative IOD, and it's a complete flip on what we had last year when we had a positive IOD. Have a look at the first Winter 2020-21 update if you want to know more about the Indian Ocean dipole. Over in the North Atlantic, again, let's compare it to last week. That's how things looked last week. This is this week. Possibly a bit of a cool down in this northwestern part of the Atlantic Ocean. So from like Newfoundland up to Greenland, possibly cooled down a little bit there, although it is significantly above average. Generally, the Atlantic Ocean looks pretty warm but perhaps not quite as warm as it was last week. We will, next week I think we're going to do a comparison. We're going to go back to 1985, and we're going to do a comparison to see when the Atlantic has been as warm as this, or warmer than this, in previous years. This is from TrogleTidbits.com. This is showing the daily temperature change through the central equatorial Pacific Ocean. So you can see we have reached La Nina threshold. We're down to around half a degree below average. We actually reached that back in August, that threshold. But it's been quite stable over the past month or so. Just in the past couple of days, we've seen the temperature is dropping a little bit, as we just confirmed. But generally, we're at weak La Nina threshold at the moment through the central equatorial Pacific Ocean, and expecting to remain there for the time being. This is the Southern Oscillation Index from the Bureau of Meteorology and Queensland Government. So the SOI reflects the atmospheric state. When the SOI is in its positive phase, the atmosphere will be reflective of La Nina. When the SOI is in its negative phase, the atmosphere will be reflective of El Nino. You can see that we have entered a positive phase of the SOI. That would tie in with the La Nina signal that we have. So these are our daily returns, especially air pressure between Darwin and Tahiti in these columns. And these are the daily returns. And you see they are all positive generally now. Most days we have positive numbers, not excessively so, but most days are positive, telling us that the atmosphere along the ocean has moved into a La Nina type setup. The SOI 30-day average is positive, that's red line just here, and the 90-day average, which is the yellow dash line, that is lifting up into positive territory as well. CFSV2 continues to forecast a weak to borderline moderate La Nina event. The black dash line here is the ensemble mean, temperature is on the side, monthly periods on the bottom. So sometime around November or December, we are reaching moderate La Nina threshold, going down to around 1.5 degrees below average. I think probably a little bit overdone. I think it would be somewhere more between 1 and 1.5 below average, probably in the end. But yeah, so weak to borderline moderate La Nina still being forecast by the CFSV2, as it has always been since January. Fantastic forecast from the CFS. In terms of the IOD, latest models are in, model forecasts are in for the Indian Ocean Dipole. So we've got Bureau of Meteorology here, we've got CANSITs there, ECM2F, Meteo France, NASA, UK Met, and an ensemble mean down here. So for October, all models are forecasting that the IOD will be neutral to negative, reaching neutral to negative phase during October. Remember, these are all updated for this month for September. So for October, all models are forecasting neutral or negative IOD, Indian Ocean Dipole. That's the same for November as well. All of them in neutral to negative territory in November as well. December, again, most of them are going back towards neutral by then. So most of them leaving like negative, but still neutral. Just one, CANSIT's beginning to move over to neutral to positive. As we go through January and February, because the further out we go, the more unreliable it gets. It looks like then the IOD begins to shift more towards a positive phase. Now, last winter we had a very positive IOD, which has been implicated as part of why last winter was so mild with very intense polar vortex of doom. But so this is going for like a positive IOD, perhaps setting in sort of neutral to weak positive, setting in by February. But there will be a time lag on that moving, of course. So it probably wouldn't even impact the atmosphere anyway until well after the winter. Basically, we don't have to worry about the IOD going very strongly positive in this winter. All models are in agreement that it shouldn't do so. The 2020 Atlantic hurricane season is looking like this very, very active season, incredible season. These are the latest scores on the doors following this record-breaking week. So for total depressions, we have had 24. For total tropical storms, had 23, unbelievable number, 23 tropical storms with 8 hurricanes, but so far only 2 major category 3 or above hurricanes. That's where we're still lagging a little bit, but this has been an unbelievably active season, and over this very, very historically active week, the ACE number has moved quite a lot. Accumulated cyclone energy is on the move. This has been updated by our good friend Schreienberg Ian Bruin. He's keeping this updated every week. This shows all ace seasons for hurricane season go back to 1831. Let's scroll down to 2020 and look how this has moved. It's gone up like 40 points since last week. Now the ace number is standing at 87.19, a huge shift after 23 tropical storms, 8 hurricanes and 2 major hurricanes. We are now near normal for this hurricane and tropical storm season. But of course, if that carries on shifting more, then next week we will probably be above average. It'll be interesting to see how that is looking next week, that ace number. We may be above average if we put on another 30 to 40 points between this week and next week. This has been suggested to be included by my good friend Simon from the Weather Outlook Forum, aka Global Warming. This is from Colorado State University. So again, the blue line shows like ace against climatological norm. Black line is like the average, and just look how this blue line has rocketed, how this blue line, which is this season's ace, how that has rocketed through this season, almost going up vertically. So it has been incredible, especially in the past week. Finally, just want to include this. It's a QBO, quasi-biennial oscillation. How are we for time? So 35 minutes in. Okay, we're not too bad. As long as I bring this out under 40 minutes, I think we're okay. So the QBO, of course, it's just an injection reflecting the strength of the zonal westerlies. When you're in a westerly QBO, you power up the zonal westerlies. When you're in an easterly QBO, you weaken the zonal westerlies. We are in a weak westerly QBO. We should be in a strong easterly. This blue area just here is the easterly QBO. That should have descended from the stratosphere to the troposphere. We should now be in, like we are just here, 2017-18, we should now be in like a strong easterly QBO phase. What's actually happened is that westerly QBO from the last westerly QBO, 2018-19, just here, has not gone. It never truly went away, and during August in particular, it did strengthen up. Let's zoom in, and we can see that at the very top of the stratosphere, we continue to have hints of the easterly QBO up here. We have these blue and green colours lurking. That's like 10 HPA, by the way, so that is like the very top of the stratosphere. Have blue and green colours lurking there. That is the easterly QBO that wants to push down, but of course at the moment within the troposphere around the 30 to 50 HPA level around here, that's the troposphere, we still have this westerly QBO continuing. So still nothing resolved with the QBO. We still have no idea where the QBO is going, and will it be resolved by the time we get through to the end of our winter updates. Normally the QBO with reanalysis will be one of the first things that we look at. You know, be one of the first sets of analogues that we do. This year, I think it'll be one of the last things that we look at. I don't think we'll look at the QBO in terms of analogues until the very last updates at the end of November, I wouldn't have thought. So I want to leave it as long as I possibly can to see whether this enigma, this question about what's happening with the QBO, whether that is resolved. So I would suspect we won't see QBO analogues this season until right at the very end of the updates at the end of November. Right, that's it for the third Winter 2020-21 update part 1. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give us a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, make sure you're subbed. Let us know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Everyone who subscribes being a friend, then we're going to get the subs up that much quicker. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. So all that remains is for me to say that this video will be placed on the winter updates page with a written summary going over everything that we discussed in the video. I'm going to get that up for you hopefully this evening. If not this evening, it'll be tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we're going to have the second part of the third Winter 2020 update, and that will be an outside of the box special. I'll have a special presentation for you by my good friend Richard Traut, and that one is purely all Richard. So I'll just be the narrator of that. That whole second part of the third Winter 2020 update is going to be entirely Richard. So yeah, going to be an interesting watch, and that'll be from 10 a.m. tomorrow. Don't forget to check out the ECMWF Measure France DWV long range update in a couple of hours' time, early this afternoon, and then 6 o'clock going to be live streaming. So I'll see you live at 6. No doubt we'll discuss this winter update, and I'm sure we'll show you some winter 2020-21 long range data from CFSV2 as well. 39 minutes, just managed to bring it out just under 40. 39 minutes, that's all for now, and thank you so much for watching.